Listen, we're going live. I just hit the button, guys.
Oh, well,
Okay.
there's a new update to it. I was about to tell you. You have to set it to never expire.
Yeah.
Oh, okay, cool.
That's probably what happened when you sent it. It expired.
All right. Well, I'm not actually sure if we're even live, but I have to say that welcome today. Someone's got their phone open and massive.
Oh, boom. That's me. We were still talking on the phone. We was doing a whole bunch of stuff behind the scenes. Sorry, guys.
All right. Well, listen, I want to welcome everyone to today's show. Now, this is, as a creator of content, the biggest fear that you're ever going to have is when go time is supposed to be 12 o'clock and you're trying to invite people, nothing seems to want to work. And it is frustrating, but I want to thank everybody. I know we're about 15 minutes late. I hope everyone is still here. I'm going to actually pull up my YouTube right now to see. But you know what? Look, let's get into exactly why we're here. First of all, yesterday is going to go down in film history as one of the saddest days in the superhero genre, in my opinion. Now, this is only outweighed by the passing of the incredible and ultra-talented Stan Lee earlier this year. Now, if today it rains, it's certainly going to be the tears of the great creator himself, crying in disbelief that the Marvel Studios and Sony Pictures Spider-Man sharing deal or arrangement is all but over. But you know what? Before we break down, what exactly happened and our opinions on it, I have to introduce the panel. And I first have to say this. I have the absolute pleasure of introducing a lord that exemplifies what it means to be a platinum member. He's a part-time stand-up comedian that deserves his own sitcom. He is the king of statues, and he has more comic knowledge than an entire comic encyclopedia. He's a retro gamer who knows a thing or two about wheeling and dealing, thanks to our good friend, Grandfather. He's the muscle of the Iron Lords and a dear friend to this community. I call him brother. You can call him Your Majesty. Please welcome King David from the Iron Lords podcast.
Wow, boom. Yo, listen, guy, he said that he was going to go all the way in on that intro, and he did not pull any punches. Wow. I'm sitting there like, I'm looking around, who he's talking to? Who he's talking about? Wow. Thank you, Boom. When you spoke to me yesterday, this week I wasn't on Iron Lords because I was sick. I caught the flu or whatever that was, like a bug or whatever, and I took a whole bunch of meds in my little Theraflu crap, and then I did my holistic stuff, and you just caught me at the right time, and then this information popped out, and I definitely wanted to get on the show and talk with you about this. I can't wait to dig into.
Yeah, I'm very excited to have you here because obviously you are in fact the king of statues. You do support both Marvel and DC in different ways, and this is a big deal. But again, we're going to get into the particulars of why this is going to transcend just the movies. It's going to go a little bit more than that, and we're definitely gonna break that down. But now for our second incredible guest, he's a diehard gamer who considers himself to be well-versed in everything from retro to cutting-edge tech. He has been gaming since the days of Pong, which makes him a gaming dinosaur like myself. Creator of the BDXP, which stands for the Best Damn Xbox Podcast. He's a permanent member of the Next Gen Podcast and a true American hero who is retired from the United States Air Force. Please welcome Mojo Blues.
Thanks, Boom. Hey, everybody. Yeah, this is big today. I'm looking forward to this. I might be the guy on the other side of the conversation, though, but we'll get into it.
Well, listen, I definitely want to thank you for being here. And of course, now we have a special guest that jumped in, and I'm saying jumped in like literally this last second. So I did not put a special, write up for him. He has been on the Double Barrel Gaming channel before. I think it was Breakfast with Boom that you've been on. But I want to welcome BitCloud Gaming, dude. Thank you so much for jumping at the last minute. I know you said yourself that you have a lot to talk about. Welcome to today's podcast, dude.
No problem. Thanks for having me.
Oh, listen, it's great. It's great to have you here because I know, first of all, you're a gamer, right? But when you talk about gaming, guys, you talk about there's other things that go with hand in hand with gaming. Now that might be comics, that might be collectibles. That might be video games. Yeah, the nerd culture, which we're all a part of. Usually if you like one, there's a good chance you're probably going to like a few other things. Yeah. And of course, I want to start off with this. I want to take everyone that's currently listening back a few years to when Spider-Man was never going to be in the MCU. And a historic deal was struck between Marvel Studios and Sony Pictures. Now, this deal was originally signed February 9th of 2015. And obviously, we know where the deal went, right? Sony Pictures and Marvel Studios announced that Spider-Man would appear in the Marvel Cinematic Universe, with his first character appearance being in Captain America Civil War. He then, of course, was in Spider-Man Homecoming, which was co-produced by Marvel Studios. And then from there, we've seen him show up in 3 more films, which was Avengers Infinity War, Avengers Endgame, and of course, Spider-Man Far From Home, which just broke $1 billion. Now, the thing is this. As being reported by Comic Book Cast this morning, this all the information you're going to hear on today's show has been double and triple checked by myself. I have been trolling the internet since last night. I got only 6 hours of sleep. I've been writing since last night. King could tell you.
Boy.
Yeah, I wrote for 3 hours last night, and then I wrote for another 2 hours this morning because you know what? When I do these shows, I want to make sure that the people that are listening and watching eventually are going to be like, you know what? That guy BoomStick, he does his homework. So, as reported by Comic Book Cast, which is a great YouTube channel, and I really highly suggest that people get over there and check them out. There are 2 films left in the contracts for both John Watts, who's the director of the Spider-Man films, and Tom Holland, who of course plays Peter Parker and Spider-Man. And what we're hearing is, Kevin Feige apparently is out from producing the next 2 Spider-Man films. And, let me tell you something, and I'm going to get everybody's opinion on this in a second. Folks, this is a big problem. This is a big problem because the way Kevin Feige works, some people in the industry said, well, the guy's a control freak. Well, listen, he had 10 years and 23 successful films under his leadership. And the reason why Spider-Man Homecoming and the reason why Spider-Man Far From Home felt like MCU films was because of his direct production skills. They didn't feel separated from the universe like a Venom did. Like the Venom movie was good. It certainly wasn't great, and it lacked that polish and feel of what you would expect from a Marvel Cinematic Universe produced film. So, King, I want to get to you on this. You talked about the 2 films that are left on the contract. Now, the one thing that is confirmed for sure, and Deadline confirmed this, who were the original reporters of this story, if in fact Sony goes on to make these 2 more Spider-Man universe, these Spider-Man universe films, the 5 years that he was with the MCU could not be mentioned in these films. I think the potential for disaster is there in leaps and bounds. What are your thoughts on this?
Okay. I think a lot of people are in an uproar for absolutely no reason. And let me explain why. The Marvel Universe has been trending to its cosmic level.
Yeah.
they're gonna start delving into the microverse and going into different dimensions and stuff like that. Where Spider-Man is home base neighborhood Spider-Man. Now, what you got with this Far From Home was they expanded on the character himself. The fact in the MCU that Spider-Man was using Iron Man as a crutch, and it just was seeing they were lending each other credibility. See, when you have ultimate success, then that goes to, the heads ultimately, and then you start looking at the pie.
Yeah.
Disney and Marvel had the toys, the comic books, and everything other than film, gaming, all that stuff, all that revenue went to Disney and Marvel. Film revenue went to Sony. That was $1 billion plus. And they didn't even launch this movie on Blu-ray yet. Okay, so, and they're about to launch the movie again in the movie theaters with extended
director's
footage.
cut.
So they're trying to juice this for as much as they can. And I think it was beneficial for both companies to do this, right? Now, when Disney goes to their Marvel Plus and a Disney Plus app service, their streaming service, Spider-Man would have been regulated to something of that nature because he's an Earth-based hero.
Right.
Stuff like Moon Knight, you're going to stuff like Daredevil, those small-time heroes, they interjected him to give them more characters. Remember, they didn't have the Fox deal done yet. So Spider-Man was of utmost importance for Civil War. You had Black Panther, but who else can you put there that had that cachet?
Yeah.
So the deal was definitely beneficial for both. You see? So at this point in time and at this juncture, Venom suffered because it didn't have Spider-Man. A decent movie without his main protagonist, Venom's main protagonist, which is Spider-Man, which is, but they didn't have Spider-Man, and the movie still. Now, I don't believe that it's going to be of the caliber of an MCU film when it does actually come out. But what I do like, and I did like Amazing Spider-Man, I love Andrew Garfield. I thought he was a great Spider-Man. I didn't think those films were terrible. So I just felt that, and how they portrayed him wasn't in line with the MCU, and MCU was hot. That was my opinion of it.
Well, I mean, look, let me just say this. There's still a chance that this deal may. What happens is they both walked away from the table. Now, we're not going to say that they're not going to walk back to the table, 6 months from now, because obviously, whether you know it or not, Sony's stock price has dropped 6% over this, and there's more to come. But I want to go to BitCloud because I know you've been chopping at the bit to jump into here. What are your opinions on 2 more potential Spider-Man films without Kevin Feige's guidance, as well as being able to talk about anything MCU? It's going to seem very generic. Even if you put him in there against Tom Hardy and you make it a Venom film, 5 years of what they built up to now cannot be mentioned. Iron Man, the Avengers, the Snap, all of this stuff is going to be...
It's going to be a blank canvas.
It's going to be, it's going to be really weird. I don't know. I mean, listen, I can tell a good story. I could spin a good yarn, but I certainly don't know where to start, for a character that had all this interaction with all these other characters where you just go to, he's by himself. It just does not make sense. What are your thoughts on this?
Well, again, the situation, it is bad, especially since we lost the legend, Stan Lee.
Yes.
I thought we were past this. I really did thought we were past this. I thought they all were good, in great terms. I mean, let's be real here. Spider-Man, the game did insanely well, right? It's their best-selling game they came out with in a long time. Also, Far From Home. Far From Home is the first Spider-Man film to reach $1 billion?
Yes, it's the highest grossing Spider-Man film to date.
Yeah. Now, I understand where Sony's coming from in a weird way, right? Now, the money, the deal between the whole films and the whole Spider-Man, license was the fact that they would receive, full commission, right? And about like 5% would go to Marvel, right? That was their deal.
Right.
But the fact that Disney comes out of nowhere with this new deal and goes, hey, man, that last film, man, it scored over $1 billion. Hey, we won half. I can see why they're sour over this and probably will walk away. I mean, let's be real here. That's like your boss coming to you and saying, hey, I want 50% from your check after you done dropped all this overtime.
They were giving half to receive half.
Yeah, I got you. They were putting a lot of marketing in this because they both, let's be real here, it was a tag team effort on both ends, especially with the games when it came to marketing. That's why the bus and everything was made, the train was made, all that stuff. Oh, that's a tag team effort. But the thing about them, they need to understand, like, there's a difference between your ego and doing your fans justice and doing service. They need to legit be upfront. Just do what's right by the fans. There's too many people invested into this character. Too many people invested in this universe for you to up and just say quit, and be done with this. No, it shouldn't be ending like this, especially when you're announcing the multiverse and you're announcing Blade and all these other characters that's going to be entwined in the universe, right?
Right.
This deal should automatically still be going on. Now, I understand if you don't want to work with Sony, sure, but at least let the man finish his vision in the trilogy, then move on. End it.
Well,
Do it the right way. Write them off.
Yeah, no, it's very interesting. Mojo, I know that you said you want to come at this from a different angle, and I'm really interested to hear what you have to say. But before I get your opinion, I have to thank the new channel member, Masshole 1977. Dude, thank you so much. That is really awesome of you to join the Double Barrel Gaming channel family. I do greatly appreciate that. But the Mojo, why don't you take us on this journey that I think we're going to be going on when on what you're going to say?
Hey, Boom. What people need to understand was going to happen. The original deal, we have to look at it, was for 5 appearances. Only standalone solo movies, 3 appearances in Marvel movies. Believe it or not, even though Sony were in a lot of trouble at this time when they were going through the negotiations, they had their hacks, and all those emails got out. Executives were in trouble. Some of their movies hadn't been doing very well. But yet Marvel was the more desperate person at the table. Feige had really wanted Spider-Man back into the MCU. He had been pushing for this for a long time.
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
The Russos, who had not yet been signed to do an Endgame, they had just come off Winter Soldier, very successful. They were given Civil War and had told, hit a home run with this, and we're going to give you the Avengers, Spider-Man 2. But they went into Civil War with 2 separate scripts.
Yeah, I know. One was originally going to be with the Black Panther as the lead.
The Black Panther, and right up until the 11th hour, didn't know for sure this was going to happen. And actually, we can get into this later, but at that 11th hour, that's when Sony pulled off getting the rights to release the game solo. Where Marvel, it was almost, they were just happy they had Spider-Man and this deal was done. And Sony was like, oh, and by the way, we want the game rights. But anyway, let's go back to this original deal. You said that there's 2 more pictures. That was actually part of the original agreement to do 4 solo, basically 4 years of high school.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
It was just for the 2, and then they were going to renegotiate based on how those 2 movies did for Sony.
Right.
Now, Marvel at this point, characters back. They don't need Spider-Man quite as bad, and Disney wants Feige to really concentrate those. They've got massive amount on the line for their Disney Plus streaming service going up against Netflix. So they want him to put the same kind of effort into the movies, those that he's put into the movies. That's why they pulled him away from being producer. But that's that's a minor thing. Sony should have never let that get out. It made them look like the bad guy. Them saying, well, if we can't have Feige producing these movies, we don't want to do them. This all comes down to Disney. We want 50%. This 5% on that original deal, that's not going to cut it. Sony looked at the hard math. Even making over $1 billion, they pulled in less than they did the original Spider-Man 2 or even Spider-Man 3. Those movies were very successful. They didn't hit $1 billion, but they were out in the 700-800 million range themselves. They cost a little bit less to make, and based on dollars at that time when they were released, they actually were a little more profitable. Actual just saying, hey, we made $1 billion. A lot of money now comes in from China that the studios, they say, hey, we, 300 million, 500 million was made on the Chinese market alone. They don't actually get all that money. They get much less money from China than what they do when a movie's played in other countries or in the US. But the 2 additional movies, that was actually stipulated in that was the plan, but they had to renegotiate. Now that's fallen through, and just Variety, and you mentioned, I also went to the LA Times, and the LA Times said on their sources, they're not gonna come to some agreement. But I'm like you, I think it could, because I don't want people to think want Marvel to make this movie. They're the better. Having Feige, put it that way, is so important. But understanding is he's actually only signed for 1 more. But he is Sony's
2 more.
No, he's only actually on paper signing for the next film, and it's one of those agreements where if it makes a certain amount of money, then that. And the director's not even signed for the next one yet. He's same thing based on what this one makes. He's automatic in if he wants it, and he's going to do it. So I think the movie will be in okay hands. Other than it'll be weird not being able to reference, some of the past stuff from the MCU.
Well, I mean, listen, let me just say this. First of all, I have to bring up a couple of things because, everyone wants to turn around and say that the evil empire, meaning Disney, is the one to blame because they wanted more money. First of all, you have to understand that the amount of the Spider-Man pictures were getting what Kevin Feige, they were using Kevin Feige's know-how as part of this deal. He was producing these films and making them into the 2 best Spider-Man films ever released. Now you got to remember there are a total of 7 Spider-Man films released. The thing has been rebooted 3 times. Okay, they were leading up to a much bigger picture, and if their films keep making, $1 billion is just a start. And someone alluded to it. They're going to re-release it in the theater. King said there's no Blu-ray yet. There's no digital yet. We're talking some serious money. This film, after it's all said and done, could make maybe $1.5 billion. And if you're a Marvel, you're like, well, we're putting all of this work into it, and we're getting 5%. Now, I understand that was the deal originally, but here's the thing, and maybe I'm gonna get some people, ruffle some feathers with this statement. As much as I love Spider-Man as a character, and I believe that he belongs in the MCU, the way that they have set up this universe, Spider-Man needs the MCU more than the MCU needs Spider-Man. And and I'm sorry to say, if that pisses you off, well, I mean that's
he's not necessarily needed in the direction that they're going to right now. See, Marvel is very smart. They set it up in a way that they can cut ties, and they gave Sony an out. The film, spoiler, I hope you've seen it already. But at the end of the film, his identity is revealed. So the culmination of the villains that they're trying to bring together, the Sinister Six movies that they're trying to do, they're trying to build their own universe. And Spider-Man has a rich rogues gallery of
900 characters, dude. It's big.
A lot.
Huge.
Yeah.
Now, when we saw the Into the Spideyverse movie was done, how can I say it? It was okay.
Fan service, you think? I think it was just fan service, just for.
But if you read the book was insane. The book was fantastic. The book, to shame, you have a smidget of what it can actually be. That's why they want to do a live action film of the book.
Yeah.
When that book movie actually comes out and they actually follow the script, see, all that stuff is there. If they actually follow the script, Spider-Man is fine to reference what went on in the past, because he's going to have his hands full trying to save himself from his the villains that's going after Aunt May.
Yeah.
Going after Mary Jane, and flesh out his universe. Like I said before, I thought it was too much of a crutch that he was had Happy there, had those stupid shades, and was worrying about Iron Man. Of course, he was your part-time mentor for a very brief aspect of the movie,
kind of like a father figure.
Exactly, because they didn't want to do Uncle Ben again.
Yeah, they did. Yeah,
good point.
That was their cop out for Uncle Ben. What I was about to say about that whole situation, right? Now, you said he's not really needed, like they don't really need him at all. He is kind of a toss-up character. To tell you the truth, a lot of them are. They haven't really necessarily made it all about one character like they did for Iron Man or Captain America.
Right.
You know? And I think the reason why they're not doing that is obviously because they don't want to avoid, or they want to avoid certain conflicts like they did with Chris Evans. Remember, Chris Evans wanted out of the role way before we even got to Infinity War. He wanted out like after Winter Soldier, and a lot of people thought he was going to die in Winter Soldier, and Bucky was going to become
Captain America. Yep, that's correct.
We thought Bucky was going to become Captain America. So the fact that he got out now and he's gone, again, they don't necessarily have the amount of star power.
He signed back up.
Oh, he's signing back up?
He already signed back up. He signed back up to do What If.
Yeah. Oh, okay, cool.
These guys do this stuff. They talk this stuff in the background, but then when it's time to sign these checks, they're ready to go.
Yeah, I mean, like, it depends on that. Again, it depends on how much they're going to take, how much they're really going to throw at them. I mean, let's be real here. One of the greatest superhero films of all time, Avengers Endgame, has broken all records. It is the #1 selling movie, period. It outsold Avatar.
It's gonna break. Not only did it break that record, it's already, from what I understand, broken records digitally. It's probably once the numbers come in, break all the records on physical disc. It is a monster.
And that's
thing.
Scary. Don't y'all see that? Don't y'all see how scary that is? This movie is not even on Blu-ray yet.
Right. Yeah.
That is scary.
Why?
It's not on Blu-ray.
Why is it scary? Like,
no, think about it. Remember, Avengers, before we got here, Dave, let's be real. Let's keep it 100. A lot of people who are talking about Avengers did not know who the Avengers were until the movies came out.
Yeah, no, that's the truth.
A lot of people did not know anything about Captain America's origins. They didn't even know shit about Ant-Man. Sorry, I mean, but they didn't know about Ant-Man. Nobody knew who Ant-Man was. Nobody knew what this was.
See, what it is we underestimate the power of us.
The fandom, yes.
So Kevin Feige grew up just like us, reading our comic books,
exactly.
Sitting down, being picked on. He grew up just like us, sitting there, making sure you ran down to the bookstore Tuesdays at 3:00 to make sure that you got your book. And he's in control now. We are in control now. So we are raising our children up on video games and comic books.
Yes.
So of course our main level of entertainment is stuff that we grew up on. I never thought in my lifetime that I would ever see Ghost Rider on film.
Right. Yep. No one ever did. No one.
And when Nicolas Cage did that role, I was elated. I saw the movie. I brought the Blu-ray. I brought the CD. I brought the DVD. I brought the Blu-ray. I brought everything I can get my hand on because I was happy that my characters are being represented. We are grown up now. And we are in control. I see our movies, these Marvel, DC movies are going to be the mainstay, and people will be breaking their necks to get these roles.
Yes.
Because we are in control.
Well,
Yep.
I mean, look what happened. Ryan Gosling had lunch with Watiti the other day, and everyone is like, "Okay, he's Better Ray Bill." They ran with the story that he's going to be Better Ray Bill. Look, let me just say this. Let me just say this because I got some new information that broke, and I kind of want to just kind of paint the picture here. But before I do, first of all, I have to thank Crazy Mate Gaming with the outrageous and extremely generous $10 super chat. He says, "Boom, I absolutely love your podcast. Your podcasts are my favorite. I think that they match up with Basement Radio Arcade and RDX." Dude, let me tell you something. That is really awesome of you to say, simply because being put in the same sentence of those fine gentlemen does mean a lot to me. And JD Gamer with not one, but 2 outrageous super chats for the total of $7. He first says, "Victor said the other Spider-Man movies were better than the one Marvel knowingly tried to bring down the character to gain the full ownership." And then he follows that with, "I don't agree with Victor. Marvel is the best." Well, look, here's the thing. You know, first of all, we have to understand where this stalemate decision is coming from. See, everyone wants to just think it's a money thing, and I'm sure that is, of course, the lead horse pulling this cart. But there is someone that's been a part of this scenario. His name is Tim Rothman. Now, if you don't know who Tim Rothman is, he originally was in charge of Fox when Marvel multiple times tried to do a sharing arrangement in the same vein, and he kept turning them down. As a matter of fact, I've heard from certain people in different podcasts I listen to, he's a bit of an a-hole when it comes to this stuff, okay?
Yeah,
He's not a good guy. As a matter of fact, if you didn't know, he was the one solely responsible for greenlighting the outstandingly horrendous X-Men 3 and Wolverine Origins, which both movies were bombs, okay? Now, this gentleman, and I use the term loosely, is now in charge of making the decisions for Sony Pictures. So he does have a hatred history with Marvel, and from what I understand, Amy Pascal, who's no longer in her position there, this is where this dude came in. So we're already going up against. You're trying to ice skate uphill with this guy in charge, and that's the real bottom line. And I'm gonna say this, okay? This, first of all, my old saying is you never look a gift horse in the mouth. And again, I'm not saying Spider-Man is not important to the MCU and MCU is not important to Spider-Man. At the end of the day, we have to understand that we all lose here. You understand? The fans, the people that have Spider-Man statues standing, a guy like King who buys Spider-Man statues, who reads the comics, guys, everybody that's in the chat that's like, yeah, Spider-Man's my favorite hero because he's just, a regular guy with problems and he has powers. We are all the losers here. And I'm going to say this. This kind of arrogance is a Sony trait. And listen, I'm going to say this. I'm going to say this right now because I know that the next part, the last half of this of show is going to explain why this is going to transcend films. And I want people to understand, and the fact that I even have to say a disclaimer on my show, because you guys don't understand. If you ever read some of the messages that I've gotten, you might want to give up because people are just nasty. Okay?
Yeah, weirdos.
Okay? But this is not a console war show. This is not a console war situation. This is Marvel versus Sony. Xbox, for your information, just in case you're listening now or later, has nothing to do with the equation and what we're going to talk about later. Because like I said, and I'll say it again, this is not going to stop at just the film. Now, I really want people to take a seat back and understand this. Now, just to show you, of course, because like I said, I wrote for 3 hours last night, making sure that I didn't leave anything untapped. If you remember when Marvel or Disney was trying to buy Fox, and there was a bit of a stalemate. What does anyone really remember what they?
Can I go into
Please
it? Can I
go ahead and tell the
it?
people what
You going
Marvel
back.
did.
All right, so I love this, and I love how creative they were and how petty they were to this. So when they turn your ice cream in your hand into mush, you ever see a kid have an ice cream cone and he's laughing at you, and then the ice cream just fall and hit the floor?
Yes.
Well, this is exactly what Marvel did to Fox.
Yep.
Mutants. Fantastic Four.
Yes.
They started with Johnny Storm. He got rid of America's first.
His origins,
family.
really. Yeah.
They said, okay, so what we're going to do is we're going to kill you through the community so that no one cares about you.
Yep.
Mm-hmm.
The Dark Avengers, they're going to do Thor books. They're going to do so much other books that you're going to be forgotten.
Yep.
Wolverine off. They killed the best X-Men off. And the book sales on those books fell and plummeted to the floor, where Fox had to come back to the table. And once the deal was in production and they started going back forward, guess who came back?
Yeah. Wait, I got one better that I want people to remember. Now, everyone thinks about movie sales, ticket sales, right? You're like those, $1 billion. I got news for you folks, okay? If you have children, if you consider yourself a child like I do, remember running to Playworld or Toys R Us to get the new Star Wars figures or the Secret Wars figures that couldn't even bend their arms. They just came with a little mini shield that had a reflection thing on it. I remember those days. Toy sales, 4, sometimes 5, sometimes even 6 times sales what a film does. What did Marvel do? Well, I remember them stopping all production on X-Men figures to make sure they put their exclamation point at the end of "you're going to sign this deal" or "F you." They stopped. They killed off the Fantastic Four. They cut the book after 50, 60 years of the publication, and then they stopped all production of X-Men. I got news for you folks, okay? If you think, and here's the thing, see, people, and they try to turn this into a console war shenanigans. Understand how in trouble Sony Pictures is. Yes, they just made $1 billion. Yes, Venom did make $825 million unexpectedly for a mediocre film. And they don't have much going on. They are in trouble, folks. Okay? And it is certainly not surprising at all that in the next 2 to 5 years they don't get bought out. Now, here's a little piece of advice. Now, I hear people probably going to be like, well, it's Disney's going to buy them. No. I'm going to tell you why they're not going to buy them.
No.
Because whoever decides to buy them, the Spider-Man rights immediately revert back to Marvel for free because those rights are non-transferable.
Yep.
Okay. Now, I kind of want to just get Mojo's opinion on this. You sat back, you've taken it all in. What are your thoughts on what we've been talking about the last 10 minutes?
I don't think Sony Pictures is doing as quite as bad as you think. They've had a pretty last 2 years, not just from those 2 movies. They've got lots of other films on the books, and not to mention their whole going for. And that's why part of the reason that they're willing to walk away from the table. If that deal had been done, it was going to be for 2 more films. This is in the MCU for Spider-Man, and then it was going to be over. And that was their plan at that point. They were going to bring Spider-Man back into their Spider-Verse as kind of their anchor. If the deal didn't get done, it'll just speed up their plans. And trust me, Tom Holland is going to be in these movies with Sony. They're already looking to make him their Nathan Drake when he gets a little bit older. They've got big plans for him. So they
That's if he
think they're going
decides
to be
he wants
okay. Now,
what's-
I'm not saying that all this will work out for them, because they've made movies in the past that were not that good.
Yeah, Ghostbusters.
But again, they're the right.
Andrew
From
Garfield
the
is
right
still under
producer.
contract.
Yeah, but you come
Having
on,
the right
come on,
director, right
David. You know
producer
damn well you
from
don't want to see Andrew come back.
I do, because he's going to
Really?
be in the multiverse. He's going to be in that film.
I don't know, man. He
They'll
just
bring him in
doesn't-
probably just a cameo or anything.
Yeah, he might make a cameo, but I don't think he fits
I'm
naturally.
not
as
sure
a
they would do
character,
that. He pissed off the head of
He
Sony.
did. And he also went back
That's why
and got
he
on
got-
his knees, and he was apologetic, and he did all that stuff. We all heard, the story of why he's out.
He had the ridiculous interviews. Oh man, I felt like they were rushed. I'm like, dude, if you don't shut the hell up.
Yeah,
just-
well, I mean,
That's still his
listen,
career, too.
Spider-Man,
He's not
the
getting
Amazing
a lot of other
Spider-Man
parts.
2 was horrendous in every facet of movie making. It was terrible. But real quick, JD Gamer drops an additional $2 super chat. He says so. The guy is basically a Terry Myerson. That's great.
He
And
is.
Basement Radio Arcade, Enrique in the chat. Thanks for being here, dude. He says Mickey Mouse strong-arming Sony. That's great. Look. Here's the thing. We have to understand that when I say ramifications, we just kind of touched on what Marvel did to the Fantastic Four, their own brand, and what they did to stop making money for selling toys, to kind of put the screws to Fox, which again, they got all these characters back. The deal is done. They just canceled 200 projects in development. If it's not Marvel, they don't want it. And you know what? I can understand that.
Right.
But
No
this
hiccups,
this is where I'm going to turn it slightly. I'm going to pivot a bit. And again, I might anger some people in the chat. I may anger some people. I'm expecting to get some nasty messages. It's fine. Now, the thing is this. Sony is one of the few companies that can go from cheering to crying in a 24-hour period. And what am I talking about? Well, on Monday, right after the amazing Gears of War showcase that we saw, which both we saw Horde and multiplayer, and the single player, Sony made a major announcement, and of course that is that Insomniac Games is now part of the Worldwide Studios family, and that's amazing. That is an accomplishment that should be cheered by everyone. And the reason why that is because Ted Price and all of those folks now have that financial security that you just don't know you're going to have when you're running your own studios. They were independent for many years. And, of course, I cheer it. I applaud it. I'm very happy for Tim Price. I'm very happy for Sony. I'm very happy that, Spider-Man was great. It's the highest selling. If folks don't know this, Spider-Man for the PlayStation 4 is the highest selling superhero video game to date. That has been confirmed. I triple checked it through NPD. It is the highest selling superhero game to date. Do you understand that? So now where am I going with this? Where am I taking you down this long dark road? Well, here's the thing. We just talked about Marvel's vindictiveness to cut their own legs out, right? We don't know what the Spider, because they're in charge of video games. They just created, if you guys don't know, their own video game adaptation arm of Marvel, right? And you have the big Avengers game coming out from Square Enix, and of course Crystal Dynamics. And then you have what we're all thinking is going to be the next Spider-Man. Now here's where it gets a little funny. Now, because Marvel is Marvel, because Disney is like, well, if you don't want to play, then you are not, or more so, if you don't want to pay, you're not going to play. It is very possible that in this signed agreement that is now completely null and void by both sides walking away from the table, we have no idea if this, and again, this is speculation, folks. I'm not putting a rubber stamp on it saying, boom, lock it in. I'm saying I'm throwing this out there, and I want to get the panel's opinion on this. If they decide to go the vindictive route, they couldn't necessarily put the kibosh on Spider-Man 2 for the PlayStation 4, a Sony product. Now, is it going to happen? I don't know. Do I want that to happen? Certainly not, because quite frankly, I loved Spider-Man. But what does that mean? King, I want to go to you first on this, because I know that you're laughing inside right now. I know that you're laughing inside, and I know that maybe he could, Marvel could have gotten a call from another company that's in the video game business. We will not mention their names. But what do you think about this?
Didn't Marvel kill Spider-Man before? Ultimate Universe on purpose?
Yeah.
Yeah. I honestly believe that first, I don't think Insomniac Games was purchased squarely just for Spider-Man.
No, they're an amazing developer.
They have other games like whatnot.
But see, they also have a large VR hand. That their arm is very long when it comes to VR games, and I think Sony is going very heavy in that direction. And I believe, I always thought anyway, Insomniac Games should have been under their umbrella a long time ago. Was Spider-Man the catapult that could push him through? Yeah, I believe so, probably so. Do I think Marvel might do something spiteful? Maybe. Do I want them to? You see, in my heart, I'm saying hell no, because I want the game.
Yeah, no, me too. I want Spider-Man too. I really do.
Yeah, I can see some of that, but not the way you guys are. Well, I'll let you continue,
But they don't have the right to make the game. But I don't believe Disney Marvel has the right to say that it can only be played here, they can make it multiplat. I don't believe they have that power to say that the game could be multiplat.
Yeah.
Like the game, and the game can be played only on Sony, which it would be. Could they let the game be made and just keep stalling and don't let the game come out on time? I believe they can do that. But I'm hoping cooler heads prevail. I want the game. I'm praying that none of this happens. But can they do that? Hell to the year they can do that. And I don't want them to. I just really, please, I just want the game. Don't do that, please, Marvel. Please, don't do that. No.
Now, BitCloud, I want you to get your opinion on this, because obviously you're chomping at the bit to jump in here. What are your takes on this? Because obviously, this could be used as leverage. You know what I'm saying? Remember, right now, Sony only holds the card, and I mean A1 card, Spider-Man film card. That is it. Marvel has all the rest of the deck. They have the Joker, they have the Jack, they have the four aces. They are in prime position to really put the squeeze on them, especially in the gaming space. Do you see that happening?
I could have sworn Sony owned the gaming rights, didn't they not?
No.
Comics.
No. They only Sony themselves are only owners of the film-based Spider-Man character and universe. That is it.
Oh wow. Well, because what I was about to say about this, right? Because you remember how the world is already entwined, so to speak, in the game for the game. Like you have the Wakanda embassy, you have the Avengers Tower, you have all that. I was thinking maybe, just maybe, with the second one, that more than likely they would remove those ties, and it would just feel like a generic New York type of thing. Kind of like they did with the previous ones.
Well, they couldn't have Avengers Tower in there, right? I mean, they could have they could try and do it, maybe remove the tower like they did in the films and make it Norman Osborn's.
Move it to another area. Like it'll probably be like you guys remember Arkham City? Remember how Arkham Asylum was in the game, but it was like a little Easter egg on the side of the map you had to look for. Yeah, they could do something like that. But I mean, it's a tough situation, man. I don't want to see none of this really go down, especially with we had that generic Venom movie. I really don't want Spider-Man to fall into the generic range. And the reason why I say generic range, right? Let's be real here. When you guys saw Far From Home, were you guys expecting them to do Mysterio justice the
Absolutely
way they did?
not.
I was not expecting that. I was not. I'm thinking this is going to be Iron Man tech. What happened, Boom? 5 minutes later, you're like, oh my God, they nailed it. You know, they nailed it. So obviously Marvel knows how to do the characters. Here's another good example. A character that all of you hated in the video games. Vulture. Now all of you are talking about Vulture because Vulture's dope in the movies, you know? Everybody likes that portrayal of Vulture. You know, these characters. Come on, you know you like Vulture with Michael Keaton style over the one with the dude in the damn suit. Come on, you know you do.
I'm okay. You know,
Right.
I like what Marvel does with the characters where they make them grounded.
They make it more realistic, make it more cool, like in higher tech. Like I like that.
I gotta be honest with you. I actually felt bad for the Vulture character himself because you know he was working and he was regular dude, had to find a way to feed his family.
Yeah,
that's what Marvel does to their villains. They make their villains sympathetic that you can feel for them. They give them gravitas. They give their heroes They destroy all of their heroes.
Yeah,
like Thor went from the god of arrogance to he lost everything.
Yeah,
you just really have.
They broke him down. Now he's Fat Thor.
You know, they even took his body away at the end, right?
I don't know if I don't even think David caught on to why he couldn't kill Thanos too by himself. Remember how he could do it single handedly and Infinity War? Remember how he couldn't do it in game? Reason why? Remember he gets his power from what? The people.
Yeah,
so half the people were wiped out. So there you go.
Yeah.
So, a lot of people didn't catch on to that. They were saying, "Oh, they just made him fat and on power." I'm like, you guys don't pay attention. You don't pay attention to this.
A lot of reasons why they couldn't defeat Thanos as easily. Well, remember that's pre-Thanos. He's younger. He has a little bit more vigor going into it. He's not battle worn as much. Forget about it. Anyway, I got whole theories on that thing, you know. But I honestly really feel that they're gonna get it right, guys. You know, they're gonna do it right. They're not gonna. Please don't do that. Boom got me scared right now, man.
I mean, after what I saw with the Venom movie, right? I think I speak for a lot of you. I'm just not. I don't really care for another one. You know, even though they showed off Carnage, right? They teased Carnage. I don't really care. I'll probably just look at the trailers to see how Carnage turns out, and that's pretty much it. I'm not really invested.
Care for it if Spider-Man is in it.
Yeah, I mean,
see, here's the thing. Yeah. I don't think they earned it. You know, I don't think they earned it. Like in terms of like natural progression, I don't think they earned that. Because remember, there was no reference to anything related to Spider-Man. It was strictly Eddie Brock.
But he's in San Francisco, so if he just comes to New York, tracking down Carnage.
Yeah, true. I mean, that could be. You know, something that could fall into play, but at the same time, you're gonna be like, well, if you're coming out now, right, to attack Carnage, you know, where was the references? Like, you know, where's the J. Jonah Jameson?
It's gonna be there's an absence that's there that's going to be very hard to tell. You know what I'm saying? There is going to be a big void. For both. This isn't just a Spider-Man problem, folks. This is an MCU problem too.
MCU problem. It's a storytelling type.
You know, what are they going to say? Oh, the hey, remember that kid that used to swing around? Because they can't mention him. So anybody, hey, remember that kid who used to swing around? What happened to him? Oh, he vanished. He's traveling the world. That's going to sound generic.
He's been in Thor books and Iron Man books, and they don't have to mention him all the time.
No, it's true.
They can tell a story without having him there. That's not the problem. I believe Spider-Man is more integral.
Yes.
To Morbius movie, to the Sinister Six movie. You can't have a Sinister Six movie without having Spider-Man. Exactly. And I was in fear of them doing that. You know, I didn't like the fact that Spider-Man Venom didn't have the spider logo on his chest.
Yeah,
that was another thing. Because this is why I was asking. I'm like, wow, you really like the Andrew Garfield film? Because remember, they tried to shoehorn Sinister Six in Amazing Spider-Man 2. Remember how they had all the ridiculous references? They saw the Vulture wing. You saw those terrible Dr. Octopus arms. We saw all that stuff in there. True, but I mean, you think about it, right? I mean, good job, but they were trying to build them, but it didn't feel warranted. It didn't feel like they earned it. If that makes sense.
You know why? Everybody sees the Marvel Universe and they see it in totality, right? They see the end finished product, right? The same thing with Zack Snyder. He sold a finished product and he rushed Justice League.
Facts. I agree with that. Yeah.
When you see the finished product of something successful and you're so thirsty to get to that,
Just get on that profit. Yeah.
you cut corners. People, we
Bad
can
movie
see
Superman,
the
bro.
corners being caught. You know, that's I've always said it. I always said that when you grind for success,
Yes.
it stands out and is measured. When you cut corners to success, that stands out as well.
Yeah, it does.
And that will be measured as well. And somebody will not go and purchase something that they see corners were cut. You pay for quality, people. It speaks for itself. These movies stand on their own 2 feet. Like you said, they tried to shoehorn the Sinister Sticks at the end. You're like, what happened? They didn't even build this up. They just talking about they ready to go.
Right. They just ended it with an okay, I would say it was an okay portrayal of Rhino, right? I like that little militarized look, but it was like, again, it wasn't warranted. It just ends in 5 seconds. It's like, where was the big payoff for that, Yeah. And then it's just terrible. I don't like stuff like that. I really don't.
Real quick, but before I get to Mojo Blues on his opinion on this, I have to thank 2 people. First of all, Enrique from Basement Radio Arcade drops a $2 super chat, and he says, you're gonna enrage a lot of people. Sony has already won the next generation with the Insomniac purchase. Man, come on, get that stuff out of here, Enrique. You know that you must be trolling. And of course, JD Gamer with an additional $5 super chat. He says Marvel really could screw Sony by allowing no toys, comics, games, and then create Spider-Man TV show using a different actor, minimizing the movies. Now you see that's a thing. That's a really smart thing that I actually might have overlooked that. See, people don't understand. The Disney streaming service is going to be legit. It's $7 a month, $70 for a year, and you already know Phase 4, half of Phase 4 is going to be in the streaming service. Let's not even forget that you got Star Wars. They have 4 original things working on that, starting with The Mandalorian, which, by the way, if you don't know who's producing that, I don't know. The guy was in Iron Man. You know what I'm saying? You know who I'm talking about, right? He was just in Spider-Man: Far From Home. He's
Happy Hogan.
Happy Hogan is involved. Listen, look, folks. Here's the thing: if Marvel really wants to put the stick to Sony, they have the rights. P.S. By the way, if you didn't know, to Spider-Man TV. So could they just logistically make a TV recast? And or you know what? And here's the thing: has anyone been looking at how Tom Holland has been addressing this? Have you seen this kid's face? He is crushed in a way that I have never seen. It's the same thing. If you remember when Andrew Garfield got the position of Spider-Man, he was crying like a baby. And I would be too, okay? Because that's something he always wanted to do. Right now, Tom Holland is devastated because all of his work is for nothing. The 5 years that he spent making Marvel MCU films is gone. It's obliterated. It doesn't exist anymore. Now, again, people are going to probably turn on me and say, "Well, it's the evil empire. Shame on you, Boom, for defending them." No, I'm not defending them. I'm saying that this is a two-sided problem, and us the fans are going to lose. But on the same note, I still think Sony is in bigger trouble than the MCU is. Mojo, what are your opinions on Marvel possibly really, clamping down on Spider-Man and all these different avenues, and then of course on their own streaming service, which launches this fall, come out with an actual Spider-Man TV being produced, P.S. by the way, by Kevin Feige.
Okay, if you don't think. Let's not even say Marvel. Let's say Disney.
Disney, okay.
Can try to crush Sony and Spider-Man and actually pull this game away and give it to another dev and make it multi-plat. Fox. Literally over 2,000 people lost their jobs. Disney gutted them. There will never be another Fox, period. They may use that moniker when they release certain movies, but none of the people involved are going to be people that were actually working at Fox. They're all fired. Absolutely. So they gutted them and got rid of these people. They're like, oh, we already have somebody within Disney and Marvel that already do this. So, oh, you're gone.
Mm-hmm.
After Dark Phoenix, they deserve it, bro.
Oh my God, yes. And King actually liked Dark Phoenix.
I'm not gonna go there. I like the film.
No, wait, boom.
Fox
You notice
is
there's a trend there. Whenever that character is on screen or the protagonist, it's just disaster strikes. Not just the film, but in terms of just the plot. It's always disaster.
Yeah,
doesn't make sense for them. They can't get it right.
Fox is not just
That movie was.
the X-Men. All right, listen, they go back to the friggin' 1920s.
yeah.
They
yes,
had
they do.
a
Great
history
point.
of being a major studio and producing some of the greatest movies that's ever been made. And Disney gutted them. It was a horrible thing. It was a horrible deal. And Disney is the evil empire. And Sony better watch their back because Sony's a cutthroat company themselves. But Disney is on a way another level. And if they're upset, and I don't know that they are because they were happy to get all these Fox characters back. They've got their streaming channel they're working on. It's something that they're angry about. But if they are and they decide, hey, we're gonna pull that game, the only thing that might change that is we don't know what's in the contract.
Right, exactly. No, I want that. That's a great point. You know, Mojo, I want to congratulate you on that. That's a great point.
Sequel based on sales, and we already know it's over 13 million set for the next game. We don't know that. I've not been able to find any information, and long before this came up, for like 2 months now, I've been trying to find that out. But so I think soon Sony will and Insomniac, they're going to announce, hey, yeah, we still have the rights to it. We're working on this game, but we're just going to have to wait until they drop that little nugget for us. But trust me, Disney, they can do some pretty nasty things to
well, I mean, yeah, I mean,
they brought up earlier all that they did about killing the X-Men and killing their own characters in the comics to try to hurt.
Yeah.
You know what? That's not what brought the deal with Fox about. Rupert Murdoch was just getting old and decided he didn't want.
Well, he wanted to sell the business. He's been wanting to sell it for a couple of years. That's true.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, he was getting up there.
They did help negotiations along by hurting the Fox properties as much as they could, and they'll do what's necessary, and they'll do the same thing to Sony if they feel it's necessary.
Well, I mean, like I said,
that wasn't the big cash cow in that whole thing. And the whole thing, it was the Sky Network that they were going after. They were going after the Sky Network's distribution. So Fox was just a byproduct of what that was. Rupert Murdoch was selling his whole stock holdings in the company, and Disney wanted Sky. Because if they can get Sky, then they can distribute all across Europe because Sky's arm is enormous.
Strong.
And that was the whole thing. This Fox deal was about, we're more excited, to be honest with you, about the Fox deal going through because we know the ramifications, what matters to us. And that's with life. We worry about what matters to us more. And that part matters to us. We didn't care if Disney shows anything in Europe. We what the hell with that? We don't care
here.
About that. Yeah, but what I do care about is the X-Men.
Yes.
Please give me my X-Men back.
Y'all think Q will come back if they write him in the MCU?
Hell no. Please, God. No, stop playing.
Wait, you don't
let that man stay dead.
Oh, you want him to be dead?
No. You know why? Because he's not Wolverine. No.
I mean, well, he did say he was open to come back if they do the MCU.
Well, you know, here's funny.
It's
funny that you should say that because about a month ago he was he's very good friends with Kevin Feige. They're very good friends. They hang out on a regular basis. Supposedly, the rumor, and again, I got this from Comic Book Cast, okay, which is again, I highly suggest going over there. And they don't need Little Boom's help. They're almost at 500,000 subs. They are okay. But I always like to put people in the direction of where I get my news source from. And you know what? Listen, I try to help everybody. Eventually, the pay it forward mantra will come back and help me in the end. But getting back to Hugh Jackman, supposedly, according to Comic Book Cast, he was going to take the role of Norman Osborn. That's what he was
Oh,
shaping up to
no.
do. And now, well, that's pretty much done. Now, I'm going to say this. I want to read the direct statement that I pulled from Sony Pictures' official Twitter account. And it really, I'm going to read it, and I'm going to get everyone's opinion on it. Much of today's news about Spider-Man has been mischaracterized in recent discussions about Kevin Feige's involvement in the franchise. We are disappointed, but respect Disney's decision not to have him continue as a lead producer of our next live-action Spider-Man film. We hope this might change in the future, but understand that the many new responsibilities that Disney has given him, including all of their newly announced Marvel properties, do not allow him time to work on the IP that they do not own. This is what they continue with. Kevin is terrific, and we're grateful for his help and guidance, and appreciate the path he has helped us put us on, which we will continue. Now, here's the thing, folks. Okay, I'm gonna link the Comic Book Cast video that reported it was not Marvel that pulled Kevin Feige. It was, in fact, Sony that pushed him off of the next two projects because they couldn't get the deal done. So what this sounds like to me is both. You ever seen that at the end of the Spider-Man animated movie where the two Spider-Mans are pointing at each other? You.
Yeah.
That's what's going on right now. King, why don't you give me your opinion on this, on Sony Pictures' statement via Twitter?
They just don't be like the guys that held the bag and they're the blame. Like you said earlier, this is a two-way street. It takes two people to tangle. There's a lot of money involved, and no one wants to be the dirty guy.
Right.
No one wants to be the person that angers the fan, that has little Timmy crying in his, cereal this morning because he doesn't get a chance to play with Thor anymore. Nobody, wants to be that person. And we understand it. Doom and gloom. Listen, the movies are coming later anyway.
Right.
So we do have enough time for that stuff to get fixed and rectified. And if Disney wants to be petty and put out a TV show with Spider-Man starring your favorite little Spidey guy now, so what? Do it. Because he was going to be an Earth-based hero anyway. So do it. Have him fight with Moon Knight and Daredevil and all the other Earth-based characters with Iron Fist and the rest of those guys when they get released from Netflix. Come on, let's do it. I like it. Sounds great to me.
Yeah, that's actually a great point. Bit Gaming, I want to grab your opinion on this because you actually, King, you made a good point. Remember, the Netflix Daredevil, we can't use, and I say we, like I'm part of the crew. Disney can't use, Marvel can't use, they had that 2-year cooling off period. And we heard that they were going to recast Daredevil, which I think is a disastrous mistake because...
people are so synonymous with him. The dude did a good job.
Yeah, he did an amazing. Charlie Cox was Daredevil. But here's my question to you: is it possible? Because you remember, Mojo was saying earlier, they had two scripts going into Civil War. One was with Spider-Man, which was the late winner. And the other one was Black Panther. They were going to use Black Panther as that Civil War kind of a thing, and they wound up getting Spider-Man. Do you think, because Marvel thinks five moves ahead. Kevin Feige is a genius, and he thinks 5 moves ahead. And I honestly, I'm sure that he's crushed because he's a big Spider-Man fan, and he always wanted this. And he said it publicly that Spider-Man is his favorite character of all the MCU, right? So he's probably devastated. Do you think that they fast-tracked Daredevil to take the place of Spider-Man if they can't work out a deal a month from now, 6 months from now, or 12 months from now?
Well, here's the thing. Again, like I said, replacing the actor, whatnot, right there, disaster. Route default, right? But also the pacing of putting him into that slot will also be clearly seen. It's like, oh, you guys hear about this guy, this superhero? I'm like, no, we just got done with this amazing war, right, with Thanos. Now you're just now mentioning this hero. No, a lot of people are going to catch on to that and probably not really, be that involved with him. You think about him, right? They won't be emotionally attached to him. It won't be organic growth like you saw with Peter.
Yes, I agree. Yeah, I agree.
'Cause remember when we first saw Peter, he was the annoying kid in Civil War. After that, he ended up being the kid that Tony Stark actually wanted, right? In a weird way, like that mentor in a weird way. And then he turned into a hero that you actually liked. So, that's organic growth right there. Same thing goes from Tony Stark. He goes from the arrogant, money hungry guy, right, to a selfless hero.
Right.
That's organic growth. So obviously organic growth is going to be a big factor in a lot of these characters. Hell, even the Blade movie that they're trying to go for.
Oh my God, I can't wait for that.
That's going to be
Mahershala Ali, man. That's star power right there.
Yeah, and I got to give a shout out. And I know King David will agree too. But shout out to Wesley Snipes. He handled all that criticism. He handled all of that like a
champion.
Champion, and he will always be Blade. I think we all can agree. He will always be our Blade from our childhood.
They can't take anything away from him.
They'll never take anything away from Wesley. Wesley was so committed to that role. He did everything right with the character. And even though he's not going to be Blade anymore, they did not rule out that he might not have involvement. He might be in there. They didn't. He was
talking. He could be a voice on the TV show in What If.
He might be. Who knows? They might change Whistler's origins. Who say he'll be Whistler?
Exactly.
That'd be actually kind of dope, to be honest with you.
That'd be dope, wouldn't it? He'd be Whistler, so he could be in there, just to honor the character, and I'm cool with that. That's perfectly fine with Wesley.
Yeah, no, that's actually a super smart idea. Mojo, I want to get your opinion on this because obviously. Everyone is right now. It's hot. I mean, like really, really hot. I mean, they both walked away. Their collars were ripped. Their ties are thrown. There's no doubt that both sides walked away with this, throwing briefcases and stuff. And I'm sure that happened. And who's to say that we can't get some sort of a fix later on? With that statement, do you, in your opinion, someone that's been following someone that went looking for the information, do you see the cooler heads prevailing maybe sometime down the line?
Only if Phase 4 Marvel movies, 700 million, 800 million, they don't cross $1 billion. When they get to Phase 5, if Black Panther doesn't do as well, they may decide we need Spider-Man back. But did you hear just how excited you guys were just talking about Blade?
Yeah. Yes.
Marvel has a lot of characters and a lot of movies coming. I think way more than Sony. They'll be fine without Spider-Man. They
got the star power.
A lot of great stuff and great movies lined up. They'll be okay, and they've got Feige.
Yeah.
And they're going to be okay. Sony, on the other hand, they think they might be able to get this Spider-Verse movies, eventually into it. But they think they've got no track record other than Venom. And you guys have already dismissed Venom. I actually loved Venom. I thought it was an amazing movie. It came out of nowhere. It was the budget was real small. It made maximum profit for Sony.
It did. It made a lot of money for them.
A lot of money. But I
don't compare it to Endgame. I don't compare it to any of the Avengers movie. It was a Venom movie. There was no Spider-Man in it, and yet, it wasn't on those levels of maybe other comic book movies. But for what they had, what they did, I found it entertaining, and I'm looking forward to the next one. And then I don't think Spider-Man will be in the next one. If they ended, it'll be like a third movie, and it might not. It'll just have Venom in a Spider-Man movie. I don't know necessarily there'll be Spider-Man in a Venom movie, but they've got to figure all that out once they decide, hey, we're going away from having Spider-Man in the MCU.
Well, you know why that it's going to be a problem for Sony, not because of the whole MCU thing alone. Marvel just put out hey, this is what we're doing in the next 2 years. Spider-Man was nowhere on Phase 4. They're like, okay, we're not going to mention it because obviously this was going on, which is why they didn't mention him. But do you see?
They don't ever announce Spider-Man films.
No, it's always Sony does, right?
Yeah, Sony has to announce it first.
Right. So but they showed their Phase 4. It's pretty much locked to what they're going to be doing. Multiverse stuff is going to be in there. We know we're getting a new Captain America, which I'm super stoked to see Sam as Captain America. It's gonna be a great 2 years. But here's the thing. Here's the thing.
Really? I mean, it was a cool moment. Boom. I'll give you that. I think Dave was right.
No,
It was a cool,
dude,
triumphant moment when he got the shield. I'm with my listen. I'm happy for Anthony Mackie.
I'm sorry, I don't like Anthony Mackie.
But you were happy for his character to at least get the nod of approval.
Happy for his character.
There you go. You're happy for the
character. Because Bucky was supposed to get it first, and
you're not gonna let that go.
No, I'm not gonna let it go for the simple fact you're jumping the character.
All right. Well, listen. What I want to do. What I want to do, King, is something's happening this weekend, and this is where we're going to see exactly how serious Marvel can be. We know the Disney Plus series is coming. Right? We know it's going to be a success because it's priced to be a success, and they've already let us know what's coming. We know what
they got the bank.
Right now, we know what's coming on Phase 4 because they went up there and he blew everyone out of the water in Hall H. This weekend is D23. Now, if you're not sure what that is the big Disney event that apparently is going to be showing off some stuff from Phase 4, but possibly opening the Pandora's box for Phase 5. Now, I don't know if this cluster of a deal that broke down yesterday, only 24 hours ago, is going to impact that on how strong Disney goes into it. Because if they turn around, we know what's coming on Phase 4 for 2 years. If they open up Pandora's box and they put a panel up there with all of the next films, man, it's like I said, we're going to see exactly how serious they are. I want to get your opinion on this, King. What are you expecting from D23 before we get everyone out of here?
I'm expecting huge news. I'm expecting to find out about the Namor film that I'm hugely interested in. I want to know more about the streaming. Are they going to do the Marvel Knights? Blade, Moon Knight, Ghost Rider, Punisher, Daredevil, all those dark characters. Are we going to get that stuff put to Hulu? How is going to format going to be stretched out? And is the what if? Are they going to be set up in a binge-worthy type of stuff that we can get all the episodes at one time?
Or is it going to be like a weekly thing, maybe?
So that's what I'm more interested in. I'm more interested in the whole TV aspect of what's going to be announced, and I want to see more of the Vision and the Scarlet Witch. I want to see how they're going to do that stuff. My thing, I'm not really thinking about Spider-Man at all, to be honest with you. And
you got a lot of characters.
Stuff that Marvel has on the slate to keep us busy and to get us focused on what's coming up and excited, and let the deal organically get back to the table. Let the hotheads, like Boom said,
Tim Rothman, Dick.
I'm dead.
Just saying.
I got nothing else for that. I'm dead.
All right. Well, listen. Why don't you give your opinion on this BitCloud? The D23. It's a big event. It's a big event for Disney. And you know what? Something like the Spider-Man deal could sour most companies, but because Marvel has so much in the pipeline, because the Fantastic Four, Silver Surfer, the Galactus, Kang the Conqueror, so many things are going to be coming just on that franchise alone. And then you talk about X-Men, 1,500 plus characters.
X-Men, you got Blade, you got spin-offs.
Crazy.
I mean, There's a lot. Ghost Rider. They have a lot of, at their disposal, and the fact that they got like so much, they pretty much got an unlimited budget, so to speak, with Disney backing them up with this. So
Yes.
they're fine. They're fine. Spider-Man is the last thing in the works, but I do agree with you. I do believe that they just shouldn't really talk about it and should just focus on the actual future heroes, and that way they'll let everybody cool down, and then eventually, organically come to terms, and they'll all just talk and fix this deal. Let's be real here. We don't want to see Spider-Man go.
No,
we don't.
I certainly do not. I agree.
We don't want to see him go. We want him to be in this world. He fits so good in here. Hell, we just got the best reveal, if you think about it, with Homecoming, or I'm sorry, not Homecoming, Far From Home, with the new sword symbol, Legion. Yeah, I remember that. For those of you that did not know, with the scrolls, that's basically sword, not shield.
Yeah,
sword.
Yes, that is sword. That's right out of the comics, dude.
Right after the comic, you saw it. So obviously they are building everything up properly. Now, as far as the Fantastic Four, I'm tired of the Fantastic Four. I'm just gonna keep it real with you. I'm tired of the Fantastic Four. We giving them so many chances. No, bro, we giving them too many chances.
We have not got the Thing versus the Hulk. We have not gotten a real Dr. Doom. Stop playing around with America's first family.
Okay, well,
we're not going to do this stuff that you're talking about right now.
Wait, so you think they'll do Dr. Doom the way they did him, like in the comics, where he'll be like that cosmic? You know what I'm talking about? Because remember, in Dr. Doom, he actually wields the Infinity Gauntlet at one point.
Yes.
All right.
Yeah.
Okay.
So
Hold on.
You think they'll do that?
Let me dig in here. Okay.
You think?
Let me tell y'all what Thanos is. Thanos is a joke compared to Dr. Doom.
Oh yeah, I know. Like Dr. Doom is very sinister. He even wore like an armor made out of the flesh of his wife. Or
listen, trust me. I know you know. I know you know. I'm giving the crowd this because the crowd is sitting here like, what? He's better than Thanos?
Yeah, they see the dude from when they think Dr. Doom, they think the dude Charmed.
Yeah, exactly.
You stupid.
Is the ultimate big bad from Marvel. He is what every villain is supposed to aspire to. He is if not the most intelligent person on the planet, he is the third most intelligent person on the planet. And the only thing that holds him back is his arrogance. Listen, this character is going to come. And when he gets to the Marvel universe, which everybody's talking about, Galactus is the next big bad, Kang the Conqueror is the next big. No, it's Doom.
Yeah.
Coming. And when he gets there, and you're gonna get the Secret Wars, and you're gonna get stuff like that, he's gonna be very integral in these things. He can span across Doctor Strange.
Yes.
He can span across Thor, Guardians of the Galaxy. Trust me when I tell you
their portrayal of him, just how he looks. I would love to see.
And how you gonna have them without having them?
Yeah, I understand.
We need them.
Yeah,
Come on, don't throw them away,
you get what I'm saying? Like it's just that sour taste from the previous.
Oh no! Once they said that we got them back, the taste is gone. I'm good. I'm ready for the good pie.
I will give you that because let's be real, Marvel is better at origin stories than virtually anybody on the table. They know how to.
This is going to be the this is the MCU Fantastic Four is going to be what we've all hoped and dreamed.
I hope
it would be. And they're gonna cast it right, and they're gonna cast it strong, and no Jessica Alba as no, we're not gonna do that.
Wait, this is just to add on to what you said there, David. How do y'all think? Like, I know a lot of people are really because this you can't really like escape Comic-Con. You can't escape any form, right? Without this character being mentioned, but Galactus. How would they do Galactus in this new Marvel like world? How would they do it?
It's going to be interesting.
Be a shapeshifter?
I don't know. I mean, that's
like, how do you do that?
I mean, how do you make the guy as big as the planet? I don't necessarily know. I'll put it this way. If you were saying Fox was going to do it, then he's going to be a raging storm like he was. If you're going to have Kevin Feige, who like King alluded to when we first started, it was the kid reading comics that got picked on. It's going to be done in a proper manner.
Right, because I remember we remember the Mandarin from Iron Man 3. Remember how like the rings are supposed to represent elemental powers? They didn't go that route with Mandarin in the movie.
But you're gonna get that in Shang-Chi.
Yes.
Okay. Y'all just go back to your Rolodex. They showed you the Celestials. They showed you
How big
them
they
blowing
were.
right.
Yeah.
They're gonna do Galactus proper,
Yeah.
But Galactus has
just
to be
like the
huge. He has to be
Celestial.
bigger
He's
than
gonna
that.
be just like the Celestial.
Like that? I
gonna
mean, he's
be
big.
that
He's
size.
bigger than that, though. And in realistic terms, he's bigger than that.
Listen, I put it this way, Big Cloud. I have strong beliefs in what they're gonna do. But you know what, Mojo, I want to get your opinion on closing us out. You know, D23 is like I said, I suppose that some people at Marvel, even some of the fans, are slightly soured because maybe they had a big Spider-Man announcement. They were gonna, bring out a Norman Osborn because they're looking forward to bringing all of Spider-Man's rogue gallery and doing the Sinister Six. Having Jameson back, going after Spider-Man. His identity was outed at the end of Far From Home, and of course, all that's been put. The kibosh has been put on that. In your opinion, what do you think Marvel does at D23? Just a couple of days away.
Boom. I hope I'm wrong, but very little Marvel stuff. It's going to be Star Wars,
Right?
Star Wars, and Disney live action remakes of their cartoon movies. You're going to get a lot of Little Mermaid talk. I think was the big blowout for the superhero movies. D23, Star Wars.
Okay. I mean, listen, that makes sense.
And I want to go back real quick about the big bad villains. I hope King's right. It should be Dr. Doom. It needs to be Dr. Doom. But everything I've heard is going to be Norman Osborn. They're going to start him as end up being the Iron Patriot.
Oh,
and eventually they're going to do a twist with the whole. And he's going to end up being the bad. But I've also heard they're not going to have the overstretching arc like they did with Thanos. They're going to be multiple, maybe like 3-picture arcs. It's kind of confusing because they didn't announce very many movies for Phase 4. So what comes out of Phase 4, we might not even know until Phase 5. Okay, here's what they're doing. Here's going to be the ultimate bad guy at the end of probably Phase 6 before you get that massive, Infinity War / Endgame. All to be still decided. I don't think they have a firm roadmap all the way out to the end yet.
Well, I mean, listen, the Norman Osborn thing was real.
You can't use him.
Yeah, you can't use him now. That whole scenario. So, but again, this is why they have multiple plans. Like I said, this is not the first time that we've heard trouble in paradise between the two studios. This has been going on for a couple of months now. You remember a couple of weeks ago, the report was everybody was running a deadline. Everybody was running with this. Oh my God, if it doesn't make $1 billion, they're losing Spider-Man, right? That was like the running thing, right? And it made the $1 billion. Like, well, I guess they didn't lose Spider-Man. And they still lost Spider-Man. So they have, at least Kevin Feige, from what we've seen, always has a plan A and a plan B. Now, of course, plan A being with Spider-Man, that's what that's what we all want as fans. That's what we all aspire to have, every character, every hero that we've all grown up reading in comics in one universe. Now, again, I'm hoping that cooler heads prevail sometime down the line and they can work out a deal that's financially set for both companies. They both win financially. The fans win at the end. Do I think it's going to happen? Probably not in 2019, maybe in 2020. We're going to have to see. I'm not going to sit here and tell you that I want the next Spider-Man film to bomb, because I certainly do not. I'm just curious that when you remove Kevin Feige from the scenario and the way he really just goes over everything with a fine-tooth comb multiple times to make sure that it fits in with the MCU, it's to me, the next Spider-Man film is going to be kind of like just a flat film, because we know that the Sinister Six is coming, right? We know a couple of them already. We know Mysterio. We know Shocker's still alive. We know that oh my God,
Vulture's still alive.
Vulture is still alive. We know that the guy that's going to play Scorpion is still alive. So we know Norman is coming. We just don't know how they're going to do it. But I'm going to say this. First of all, this show went on 30 plus minutes further than I originally planned. And I'm very happy for that, because obviously we had some very serious technical difficulties in the beginning. Folks, listen, this OBS stuff and this Discord stuff, man, it sometimes it wants to be stubborn. It's very temperamental. I don't know if anyone from YouTube is going to hear this, and I shouldn't probably be saying this live on the air, but I'm going to say it anyway. If they want to bring back Google Hangouts as a paid service, BoomStickXL is going to be the first one there signing the contract, because this other way is for the birds. It makes as a content creator, the biggest fear happened to me today. I couldn't get to. I was late, which I can't stand being late to my own shit, and I don't like people waiting. And then just trying to get everything done. It's very, very frustrating. So what I want to do is I first have to thank the 140 plus people that tuned in to this very special episode that came out of nowhere. That is a really, really big deal. Comics and comic movies is something that's going to be moving forward with Double Barrel Gaming is going to be added. I don't know how many of these special events I'm going to have, but yesterday's breakdown of the contract, we needed to talk about this. So thank you to 140 plus people. Thank you, my new channel membership members. That is really a big deal for me. Of course, the super chat. I cannot thank you enough. The generosity of this community is unbelievable, and it is greatly, greatly appreciated. Of course, I have to thank my amazing panel, and I want to get you guys out of here. I'm going to do some outros. King, listen, let me tell you something, dude. I watched this week's Iron Lords podcast, and as much as I have love for everybody on that show, your absence is like a void, because you're so electric and you're so alive on that show. And when I don't hear the knees being given out by the king, then it just seems as if I'm missing something. So I'm glad that you're feeling better. I'm glad that the flu is behind you. I'm glad you're going to be back. And I'm going to say this. If you are listening to me, you need, and I'm begging you to please take me on my word, the Iron Lord podcast is one of the most legit shows on YouTube. They do not get the credit they deserve. That is a family of guys that work together on a weekly basis that deserve the accolades that they currently do not have. It's an amazing show. It's a funny show. And King, I got to tell you, again, pushing people towards him, he's the king of statues. He does unveilings on a weekly basis. If you're not subbed to him, shame on you. Get over there and do that now. King, take it away, dude.
Oh, Boom, I appreciate the kind words. And to the Steam panel, you guys, trust me, I had a great time. I was talking about Boom earlier. I was telling a friend that he is probably one of my new, most genuine people that I have met. One of my favorite people. He was a bright spot when we was in California. I mean, literally a bright spot.
Besides stealing your car, but that's a story for another day.
It's totally different. But I mean, even that was a bright spot. When I saw the smile on your face, God, this guy can make stealing a car smile. Listen, guys, I had something set up for you guys. I thought the camera was going to be on today. Y'all was going to get the unveiling of the statue that will be unveiled tomorrow.
Nice.
Y'all was going to see that right now. And I think Mojo had alluded to it, and it's there. So I don't want to give it out now that you're not going to see it. But if you tune in tomorrow to ILP, you can go to the website of lordsofgaming.net. You can also check out us at our YouTube channel. The KOS will be up tomorrow with the new statue that has something to do with today. I also had the arcade machine playing the arcade version of Spider-Man right now. So you already got a chance to see that. And I mean, to get in a panic, because I'm seeing a lot of fear mongering on the web about this stuff. We need to take a step back.
Yes.
Relax a little bit.
Breathe a little bit.
Just breathe.
Watch
Talk
Endgame.
About it. Yes, and buy the new Spider-Man. Go see the movie. Support the movie. Support the stuff. Don't say that you're not going to support. But
yeah,
listen, I love you, Boom. I love being here.
Sir.
I do appreciate it, and I'm so happy that you reached out, brother.
Oh, it was great to have you on. Real quick, a BitCloud Gaming. Before I get to you, Errol Channer with the outstanding and very generous super chat with a character on it says, "Keep it up." Thank you so much, Errol. I really appreciate the generosity. Now, BitCloud Gaming, listen, dude, I think you got the perfect radio voice. Not only do I think you got the perfect radio voice, but you are what this community needs to be. You are funny, you are caring, you care about the industry, you care about the community, and you care about gaming, which is what we're talking about. Like I said, today is a bit of a special episode.
Yeah, it's
Please
special.
do me a favor and tell everyone where they can sub you and where they can listen to you on a weekly basis.
Well, I appreciate that. Thank you so much. Shout out to you for the invite. It was a pleasure to be here.
It's always
again.
great to work with you, dude. Absolutely.
Oh, definitely. Thank you so much. Shout out to King David here. King David been ducking. You know, he hasn't been showing a certain collectible that I know he was going to pre-order. And then I give you a hint. It's red. It's in game. He knows what I'm talking about. so I know for a fact he probably bought it, but he probably didn't get it yet because, you know, it takes forever for those type of things. But shout out to him. Shout out to everybody in the chat. It was a good time. I'm Big Cloud Game. You guys can find me on Twitter at the same name. And, of course, YouTube. I am the host of the RGT podcast. We host that every Friday, but we actually moved that to Sunday to accommodate my panel so everybody can make the show. It's basically a super show we're doing on Sunday, 5 p.m. Eastern. And I'm doing that with Foxy Games UK. That's one of my other partners in crime. I'm a co-host for the Gamer Couch podcast. So we're all together there. 2 hours nonstop gaming, no fanboyism. We keep it real with y'all. Every Sunday you can catch us there until everybody gets situated. But yeah, that's on the channel at Big Cloud Gaming.
Nice.
I just want to say thank you guys again. Much love to y'all. Y'all be blessed. And yes, at the end of the day, man, we're gamers. So let's just go play some games. Let's keep it 100.
Yes, that's a great way to close it out. And Mojo Blues, my friend, you hit me up last night on Twitter, then you hit me up on the DM. I had to have you on today's panel because you're such a big movie fan, but more importantly, you're a comic fan, and you got some things going on for yourself. You're very, you're very vocal on Twitter, which is great. I know that you're on the next podcast, which should be launching Friday. I believe it's Saturday evenings is when it does. Just do the people do yourself a favor and kind of just, pitch where people could listen to you on a weekly basis, but also follow you on Twitter, dude.
Oh, here in about 25 minutes, me and Mads will be doing a special edition of the Next Gen podcast.
Nice, dude.
We're gonna do the whole Gamescom thing and our thoughts on it. Dipping today, I think we're gonna move that Next Gen to regularly on Wednesdays due to Mads' schedule.
Okay.
So we'll be usually doing it either Wednesday or and sometimes on Thursday. As far as my BDXP, that's looking to be September. It may be Sunday nights around 7 or 8, or it may be Saturday. I'm still putting the panel together. I've got one full-time member already signed up. I've got a guy that wants to do maybe once, twice a month. And I'm still looking for a couple more and kind of working all that out. And I'm going to be in Germany in October for like 3 weeks, my first grandchild being born. But
yes, that's awesome.
Whatever shows I'm doing, I'm going to just do live from Germany. As long as you got internet connection and coming live from there, hopefully from some German Gast houses, having some nice beer and talking games in Deutschland coming up. So
congratulations,
that's
congratulations.
Yeah, that's a great thing happening
first
for your family.
grandchild. Yeah, I am pumped. That's huge.
Well, listen, again, folks, I want to wish everybody a great day. I want to wish everybody a great gaming day. We're already in the middle of the week. It's hump day, which is great. Obviously we have some big news coming out. If the news winds up being like I'm expecting it to be for D23, what I might do, and again, folks, don't lock me into this. What I might do is maybe next week I'll do an hour show to kind of like a recap. I'll see if I can get everybody back on that was here today so we can talk about it. But again, nothing's locked in stone because I have to make sure that A, people could be here, and B, that there's something to talk about. Of course, I want to thank my chat for being amazing as always. This is, in fact, the friendliest chat on YouTube, and I'm very, very proud of that. Guys and gals come in here and they talk gaming and they just hang out and they have fun, and that's what I like seeing. And I want to close out what I do almost every show. 2 things that my pop taught me when I was a kid. 1, treat people how you want to be treated. Real simple. And here's the last thing. It doesn't cost anything to be nice. Just remember that, and you will have an amazing day. Take care, everyone, and thanks for coming out.